Yo. What up? What up? What up? Excuse my tardiness. I was doing shit. That's what I do. Yep. All right. We're all ready. We're here. We're set. Ready to go. I'm going to eat a meal and keep the mic muted while I'm eating because that's fucking gross and people are gross. Oh, let's see. All right, who do we got? People are in here. 7 people. We got John. John says he's ready. DLC in the house, sending me clocks. I understand. Yes, yes, yes. Dylan in the house. Raymond, yo. Diesel Dave, my man. What is up? Raymond's in the house. Rodney is in the house. And Josh Perry's in the house. Hope you're doing well, Josh. Thank you for joining us today. Packing up the U-Haul, baby, says Raymond. Man, what a blessing. What a good thing. Mark in the house. What's up, Mark? Soto Strength in the house. What is up, my friends? What kind of questions we have? We had the big Olympia weekend. Lots of fun. My first time experience with that. First time in Vegas. First time to a show of that level. So, man, exciting stuff. My friend Dan got us great seats. So, me and my friends were able to watch from very favorable seats. And man, there's nothing quite like it. It was a great experience with friends and family and things like that. So, wow, good shit. DLC, so close to convincing my fiance to move. We're so close. Yeah, she'll get there. Yep. Yeah. I'm like 3 text messages away from locking her in to moving. We'll be good. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. It's an additional coaching service I provide. Eric Anderson in the house. It's not a Friday without Tommy. That's what they say. That is what they say. Are you running any peptides this prep? Soda Strength asked me. Yes. Several different peptides. Where do I start? Okay. Let's start with retatrutide, 3 milligrams a week. I'm using MOTS-C at 1 milligram a day. I am using, I'm actually using Delta Sleep Inducing Peptide at night. I take about 500 micrograms. I'm using 5 amino, 1 MQ, 150 of that, 2,000 micrograms of SLU, the Serostim, running Serostim, methylene blue. I'm running some of that. I don't know. There's probably some other shit I'm missing. BPC is in there. KPV is getting added in. All the good ones. I run all the ones that I like. All the other shit is just garbage to me. Those are the ones I like. Those are the ones I think you can run year round, kind of cycled in and out. Those are like the big ones I enjoy. Glow is in there. When I run out of glow, I just go back to my plain old BPC until I get more glow. So there's always BPC in the mix year round. I'm probably missing some too, Soto, but um, those are the main ones that come to mind. How's training been feeling? Training's fine. Training's good. Um, it's always good. It's always good. It's just chicken and rice, John. John asks, "What are you eating?" Um, chicken, rice, and there's a little apple cider vinegar in there. So yeah, real fancy. Keep them coming. Let's go. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna mute this so you don't hear me fucking smacking my lips like that one fucking what's that guy's name? That annoying podcaster. He fucking always smacking his lips and shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that to you. I think that yeah, Soto. I think that covers all the peptides. You know what? Sometimes I'll do like a new pept pre workout or a CMAX. I ran out of Slank, but sometimes I was using that at night too. Um, Diesel Dave, any benefit from IV therapy with the vitamin mineral peptide post show? Of course, yeah, absolutely there is. Absolutely there is. There's always benefit to IV therapy. Um, it's just expensive, but so is everything else we do. But yeah, there's absolutely you can get huge bags of vitamins and all sorts of good shit in there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very beneficial. Christopher in the house. Good morning, coach and everyone. Christopher is in the house. Welcome, welcome. We met Christopher at the Olympia. Me, Chase, and David got the pleasure to chat with him and his wife for a while. Good dude, very good dude. It's so nice meeting people in person. We met Rayster. He showed up. A couple of my clients showed up, and we were able to hang out with them. It's always fun meeting people in person. Just because I'm far different in person than I am via email and text. I'm just more direct with text messages and email. I just come off very direct with that stuff, and sometimes it turns people off. But um, in person, I'm a little different. With I don't know. I don't love texting and email. Of course, it's a part of my job, so I'm not complaining. But I much prefer face to face things um, when possible. And in the world we live in, that's not always possible. DLC Racer's massive in person. It was very cool meeting him. Yeah, he's unbelievably thick. Um, unexpectedly big. And uh, Christopher looks great in person too. 'Cause there's some guys where like you see him in a photo, you're like, yeah, like you look cool, but it's a photo. And then I saw Christopher in person. I'm like, oh damn, this dude's shredded. He's fucking shredded. So it's always fun to see that contrast, right? Dylan said I hate texting. Yeah, I just don't do well um, with texting and email. I'm trying to improve, but um, and the other thing is I really prioritize immediate responses. So I don't take my time to form something cute and fancy. I just get the answer to you as soon as possible. So sometimes it comes off abrupt, and people are like, "Are you mad at me?" It's like, no, shut the fuck up. I'm just no, I'm not. Smalls in the house. What up? What up, Smalls? How are you? Welcome, welcome. DLC says, and Christopher has a sick as fuck mustache. Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right, what did we think about the Olympia? What kind of questions do we have? Where are we at with everything? Brett in the house, mustache looking extravagant today. Thank you. I'm using a new beard oil, um, which a client and friend provided for me, and it may be something that I actually start endorsing. I've really been enjoying it so far. Um, I just want to continue to use it to make sure it's something I actually like before all you fat asses put it on your face. Um, but yeah, so far it's good shit, and it smells really good too. Um, Brett, wait, sorry, DLC said, sad to see Nick's physique spilled over. He looks so great at finals compared to the prejudging. Yeah, man, prejudging was not good. It was not good. To the point where he came out and I'm like, oh, that's not good. He didn't even hit a pose yet, and I'm like, ooh, oh boy. What was your opinion on the open placings? I would have had them different. I would have had them different. And here's what's weird. And this is my first time experiencing this because, like I said, this is the biggest show I've ever been to in person. And not to mention, we were literally sitting behind the head judge. That's where our seats were. So, guys, I had a pretty fucking good view. That's all I'm going to say. Um, so here's the weird thing is I see these photos online, and the people can use the photos to skew whichever opinion they want, right? Like, oh, look at this guy compared to this guy. It's like, no, I saw that motherfucker in person. He was hard as nails. You just found a shitty photo. I found photos online of Hottie that didn't look good, and I'm guys, he was fucking granite. I've never seen someone so conditioned and hard in my entire life. In my entire life. And then I found a few photos online of Andrew where people are like, yeah, he deserved third. Guys, Andrew was fucking, he literally came out and I'm just like, man. I'm not saying I thought he should have won or anything, but he was well deserving of top three. He would, it was, it was the best. It was one of the most shocking physiques on that stage that night. Both nights. Um, yeah. So Small says should have been Hottie and Andrew for the top two. I don't disagree. Sorry, guys. I have to finish this fucking meal. I'm sorry. Um, it should have been Hottie and Andrew for the top two. I don't know that I disagree. I don't personally, 100% honesty. In my opinion, I think Hottie should have won. And that's trying to keep my bias aside because I really like Hottie. And I'm very open about that. But in person, I'm just like, I had him winning every pose. Fuck all the Instagram photos. I don't even care. In person, what was right in front of me, Hottie won nearly every pose. I could maybe give Derek maybe one of the back shots and maybe the side chest in person. I didn't have Derek winning any other pose. Um As far as Andrew, I didn't watch him enough, but he was fucking good. He was so good. The thing is, I was just stuck on Hottie, and I was stuck on comparing Hottie to Derek for quite some time. So I didn't give Andrew enough viewing, and Andrew was fucking around during posing, which was I think hurt him. I think hurt him because he was actually pissing off the judges. He's walking to the corner of the stage hitting most musculars and shit. They're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Stand in line and do your poses. Be a professional. So that was very silly of him. By far the best Andrew I've ever seen. By far one of the best bodybuilders I've ever seen. Hands down. DLC says Andrew was best physique we've seen of his yet. Yeah. And DLC said Hottie was insane. Guys, David, DLC was sitting right next to me. And Hottie came out, we both looked at each other like, what the fuck is that? Guys, it was paper thin skin, hard as fucking nails, and full as a house. There was very few things I could pick apart on Hottie. That's just my opinion. Mel Mack in the house, my man. Mel, do you think Fitzwater looked good enough to push Sampson at fourth, out of fourth? Do you mean push him out of fourth? Yeah, I think there could have been an argument for Fitzwater to edge out Sampson 100%. And I'm not even a fan of Fitzwater. I like his physique. And like I saw photos of him online where people are like, yeah, this guy's too small. Guys, he wasn't fucking small. He was not small. In the lineup, he looked like he should be in that lineup. I very well think Martin definitely probably should have taken fourth, in my opinion. From what I saw in person, before anyone gets their pitchforks out. Raymond, Sampson seemed like he just missed his peak and came in too flat. No, it wasn't a peaking thing. He came in way too small. That was not a peaking thing. That was an entire prep thing. And he didn't come in more conditioned. He just came in smaller. And their whole thing was, yeah, we're bringing a new level of conditioning. You didn't. You just brought a whole different level of lack of size. There was no additional conditioning at all. At all. He was not harder, sharper, nothing. He was literally just smaller. And to a man that size to say that he actually looks small, guys, what the fuck? that's a bad. I feel silly even saying that, but he looked small relative to what he normally is. No, I don't think he was really flat. I just think he was small. Brett says, I feel like Hottie didn't lose a single pose to Derek. No, like I said, you can maybe argue one or two of the, you can maybe argue one of the back poses, probably the lat spread. Derek's lat spread is fucking lights out, especially in person. It's like you see everyone doing a lat spread, and you go down the line, your eyes just go right to fucking Derek every time. It's just the width and density of his back it's fucking unreal. It really is. It's unreal. In the side chest, you can arguably give to Derek because of just the fullness of the chest, and that side leg is just unreal. But the condition of Hottie was just out of this world, hard as fucking nails. Unbelievable. DLC, Martin should have beaten Sampson if they would have pulled Nick in the comparisons with the group. I think he would have pushed Sampson. Yeah. I had Martin above Sampson. personally. Guys, like I said, they kept saying, yeah, Samson he's more conditioned. He wasn't. He was just smaller. And his abs were washed out. Like it didn't even look like he had abs. It was very strange. Very strange. He was fucking narrow. Like his shoulders, like he looked small. He looked like he was off gear. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Adam in the house. What's up, Adam? Yo, hope everyone's doing well. We are all here, alive and well. Thank you for joining us, Adam. DLC. Yes, Samson said they didn't peak properly. No. He couldn't fill out. He was smaller, but also not full. It wasn't a peaking issue. It was an entire prep. No. He was too small. He was too small. Adam's saying that I've been saying only having the top 4 out for comparisons is enough. Pull out the entire top 6 to compare at least. Yeah, or at least you can leave 4 guys on the stage, but you got to rotate guys in and out. Because there was a point where, especially in the finals, like Nick came back really good. I don't know if it was enough to beat Samson in the finals, but I think he could have snuck into 5th and pushed Samson to 6th with Martin being 4th. I don't know. Guys, after top 3, it doesn't fucking matter, in my opinion. Like, what are we arguing over 5th and 6th place? Do those guys even win any money? I don't think they do. What the fuck are we arguing, right? After top 3, it does not matter. If you're not in the top 3, I mean, it's the Olympia level, so let's be realistic. Those are the best in the world. So just being on that stage is incredible. But yeah, if you're not top 3, top 4, you're not in the discussion anymore. Who the fuck cares who takes 5, 6, and 7? Guys, tell me this. In without looking, without Googling it, in 2021, who took 5th place at the Olympia? What about 2019? Oh, all right. Yeah. What 2018? Who took 5th place at the Olympia in 2018? Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter. No, none of you fucking remember. None of you remember. So, yeah, doesn't matter. David Dimsdale in the house and retracted his message. Sorry about that, David. Hope I didn't offend you in some way. DLC, I absolutely agree. That's what they're blaming it on. Yeah, everyone blames the peak. The old fancy. It was the peak. We missed the peak. Been that small from peak week. Sorry. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. The whole prep made him that small. The whole prep. And guys, when I say Samson's small, like fucking let's be realistic. He's a giant of a man. And I would look like a fucking twig next to him. I'm talking about the sport as a fan, guys. It's like people get so offended when, well, what the fuck could you do at the Olympia? It's like, okay, listen, a lot of you guys like football. And when you're pissed off at the quarterback for missing a throw or, throwing an interception to lose the game, of course you couldn't fucking do better. That's not what we're saying, but we're still fans of the sport. We're allowed to judge these motherfuckers, so stop it. I'm going to judge them all I want. Oh, yeah. Adam says rotating guys in and out. Yeah, there needs to be more comparing, in my opinion. Amy in the house. What's up, Amy? Shoot, I'm late to the party. Don't worry, Amy. I was late as well. So there's that. I have to leave early for my posing session. I'll catch the replay. Thanks for stopping in, Amy. Good luck with the posing. And everything's going very good in Amy's prep. She is cranking along. Hamstrings are coming in. Upper body is already crazy lean. And we're going to have to start building up some food here pretty soon and filling her out. It's going to be a good problem to have. Raymond in the house. The fact that Brett Wilkin got dead last at the Olympia breaks my brain. No, it doesn't. Saw him in person at the Arnold in March, and he was the biggest motherfucker I've seen in person. No, Raymond, sorry, I disagree. If you saw Brett Wilkin on stage on Friday and Saturday night, he deserved every bit of last place. He looked like he was 14 years old. His posing was fucking garbage. Love you, Brett, but that was not a good look. Sorry, Raymond. You're wrong on that. You're wrong on that. That's where the internet fucks you guys. Because I saw some crazy photos of Brett on Instagram, even stage photos. Motherfucker didn't look like that in person. I promise. He looked like he was 14 and he couldn't hit a pose to save his life. He was shaking and it was a fucking disaster. He shouldn't have even been up there. It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for him. Dorian Haywood beat him. And that's no shot at Dorian, but he's a fucking Masters competitor. That was his first time on the Olympia stage, and he still beat Brett. Get off the hype, guys. Get off the hype. Everyone thought, yeah, Brett could be top 6. Fuck you. No chance. No chance. Sorry. Adam, I love Nick, but I'm not sure he has the right structure to ever win with that waist. I don't agree. His waist is not bad. You guys got to see these people in person. There's no difference between Nick's waist and Derek's waist. So why does Derek win and why could Nick never win? Yeah, I don't believe that, Adam. Love you, but I don't agree. I think Nick could win the Olympia at some point. There's still things about his physique that aren't, that I don't love, but the waist is not one of them. Foxer, I've been missing the peak for a couple of decades. Yeah, exactly, Foxer. Diesel Dave, with where you are in your coaching career, how is it for you watching a show like the Olympia? This is a cool question. What's going through your mind? How and what would you do? This is a cool question. Let me finish this meal. I'm sorry. I have to finish this meal. Okay, back to Diesel Dave. With where you are in your coaching career, guys, I'm sorry. I'm losing fucking watchers because of my food, but I don't care. My food comes first. With where you are in your coaching career, how is it for you watching a show like the Olympia? What's going through your mind? And how and what would you do to possibly correct issues with some of these physiques? First off, I would never, ever, ever, ever try to form an opinion based off photos anymore. Ever again. Ever the fuck again. When I say that, I mean Instagram photos, right? Which is what a lot of you guys are doing, which I can't blame you for. Not everyone can just fly to fucking Vegas and go see the Olympia. I understand that. That is the first thing that I will set as a rule. And you guys have heard me say that before. I don't care what anyone fucking looks like on Instagram. It doesn't mean shit. But now more so than ever, especially with stage photos. Like, oh, this guy should have won. Like, no, I was there. No. Nope, not even fucking close. So yeah, that's one thing right there, Dave, is that I'm really good with check-in photos. You guys sending me check-in photos from your fucking bedrooms or whatever. But when these guys are posting like gym photos on Instagram and everyone's like, oh, yeah, new Mr. Olympia. Fuck no. Fuck no. Guys, people are like, good Vito should have been at least fourth. I'm like, what? He looked good. Don't get me wrong. He looked very good. He was exactly where he should have placed. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So what's going through my mind, Dave, when I'm watching these physiques and analyzing them? Um, I just I'm really watching it as a fan, Dave. I'm not watching it as a coach. Does that make sense? Um, I'm kind of separating my coach brain when I'm watching bodybuilding, and I'm just enjoying it as a fan. And I'm not like I don't ever want to assume that I could do better than the coaches that they already have, right? So I really I don't even go there. What would I do different for Nick Walker's peak? Like I don't even go there. You know what I mean? I just and you can't assume that you would know how to correct the issues unless you saw the entire prep unfold. None of us know what led to Nick Walker's upset showing. We know what Kyle said publicly and stuff, which was cool. That he took some accountability for that, which is great. Um, but yeah, I don't go there, Dave. You know, I don't. Well, I would have done this different than Kyle. Yeah, I don't do that. I was just spectating as a fan and assessing the physique as a coach, but not to the point where I'm like, yeah, I probably should have done this different. Now, I don't go there. John says that's what happens when your wife handles your gear doses. Oh boy, we talked to Michael Warner at he stopped by our booth, and yeah, it was kind of funny. It was funny to talk to him. I'm like, hey, we should all send Samson fucking sunglass emojis. Oh, David Dimsdale is back. Hope the fam is doing well. Fam is doing great, thank you. Twin sister surprised our family that she's pregnant with twins. Wow, that's wild. That's super cool. That's a great start to our weekend. Yeah. Question: if you use too much AAS for the first cycle, does that permanently hurt your ability to grow? No. What will happen is you'll just get too many side effects. You'll realize you took too much. But no, it's not going to cause like permanent, like fucking, well, I'll never grow again because my first cycle was too big. No one's ever done that. You'll just run into unwanted effects when you take too much, more than you need, right? Amy says, "Yeah, feed me." Yeah, we were talking about filling out Amy because she's getting fucking peeled. Um, Raymond says, "Oh, I don't disagree at all." He's talking about Brett. Just speaking on the perspective of how crazy the Olympians are. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're the best in the world. I don't want to be taken the wrong way about that. Um, but if you saw Brett on stage in person, he deserved every bit of last place. Love him. But no, he wasn't. He couldn't stand next to fucking any of those guys. Urs would have, or there's a lot of fucking physique guys that would have smoked him. Um, Mel, I don't understand your question. How would you present Nick's physique, posing, etc., assuming he's crisp and conditioned at 100%? Can you elaborate on what you mean, Mel? I don't fully get what you mean by how would you present Nick's physique? Just let me know what you mean. DLC says, I think Nick's posing is all right when he's not bloated and can control his abdomen. That was really his issue this year in prejudging. Guys, he was so. He looked uncomfortable. He was like distended. He couldn't control his stomach at all. He looked like he was in pain. Like when you watch his face, um, like him trying to like pull his stomach in and like crunch down, he literally looked like he was in pain. Um, we thought maybe he pulled a muscle. And Chase and I are like, did he fucking hurt something? Because like he can't even flex his stomach. Um, yeah, we like Chase and I thought he was hurt. Um, because yeah, yeah, he looked. Guys, he still plays fucking top 6, which is wild. Which is wild. You guys have to remember that he was so fucking off, and he still was up there, which is incredible, But yeah, his something was way the fuck off. Instantly, he came out from the back, and we're like, nope, not good. Nick's Pittsburgh look was next level. Fuck yeah, that was good shit for sure. DLC, Nick is a freak. They got to nail the peak, and we'll start climbing the ranks. He is one where the peak really may have been the issue. It's possible, but also, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's possible. I think guys like throw the word peak around and like, I don't know. If you look good 2 weeks out, you got to really fuck that up somehow. So maybe his 2 week outlook wasn't good enough, right? We don't know. We didn't see him in person at 2 weeks out. We don't know how it unfolded. All we see is what Instagram shows us. You think he's going to post his shitty fucking photos on the internet for us to see? No, no one would do that. That's silly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the peak is part of it, but I think the word gets thrown around too much. Crunchy. Hi, Tommy. Um, my damn thermal coupler got dirty. Woke up cold today. How the fuck? How old is your furnace where you have a thermocouple? Get rid of that shit, dude. What's wrong with you? What the fuck? Paul J. The differences are so tiny. Yeah, between Derek and Hottie. They're not in person. Sorry, Paul. I love you, but Hottie was lights the fuck out conditioned. Hard as nails. I will say it 9,000 fucking times on this episode. He was not, Derek's conditioning was not even close to Hottie's. But that's not the only thing that wins bodybuilding shows. And everyone knows that. It's an entire package. Right. So that's something to remember, right? John says, how close was it between Sean and Keon? Thoughts on the 212 top 5? Unfortunately, it wasn't close. Sean was really, really good. I don't know. I take that with a grain of salt. Sean was so good. He was so good, but dude, Keon is next level shit. Sean was not going to beat him no matter what he did. And I don't think Keon was 100%, which is even more scary. Christopher says back with a big salad and sourdough. Yep. Raymond, I heard Kyle Wilkes tried to fill him out with several cheeseburgers. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I didn't talk to Kyle. People just, throw shit around sometimes. I didn't get the chance to speak with Kyle on anything like that. I would have to see if Chase did, because I know Chase was able to spend some time with them. So I would have to ask Chase if that's really true or not. I don't know. Even if so, like, I don't know. I mean, guys, Kyle's a good coach. I think, from what I know of him, but I don't know. Melmac says, assuming the waist stomach was a concern, would it affect the posing at all? Yeah, of course. DLC 212 was an awesome show. Keon was a clear winner. Yeah. Smalls says, I don't know about clear winners. Sean looked amazing. No, Smalls, in person, it was a clear winner. And I hate to keep going back to that, but it's true. Like, in person, I wanted Sean to win. You guys know he's my favorite bodybuilder of all time. And he looks so good. Like, the improvements that he made were fucking absurd. He was not beating Keon that day. Either day. No. Guys, no. He was Keon was 20% better than Sean, at least. Foxer said, I heard some wondering if Nick had a kidney issue. I don't know where people come up with this shit. They all have kidney issues. They're fucking bodybuilders. Melmac, Hottie should have won. Yeah, I don't disagree. Diesel Dave, after doing shows with TJ, there's really no magic formula to peak weight. Yeah, Dave knows. It's literally get in shape and just roll into the show. Yeah. Diesel Dave and I, we don't do anything. We don't do any magic tricks, but we still come in better on peak week. Dylan says, thank you. Hottie should have won. Yeah, I had Hottie winning. Paul says Keon's width is next level. His entire physique is next level. He deserved to win that show. And Sean Clarita is my favorite bodybuilder of all time. Keon beat him fair and square. There was no fucking question in my mind. Of course I was upset, but Keon won that show. There wasn't a question. 212 prejudging was one of the most entertaining parts of the Olympia. Yeah, it was cool. Sean and Keon looked a lot closer than I thought. No. Yeah, guys, I don't know if like people just show up better on camera or like their skin makes them look better on photos versus the other guy. Keon was the clear winner. But Sean was so fucking good. Like, I can't say that enough times. Paul J, Keon's only weakness was his abs. I don't think he can do anything about that. I don't really know what that whole thing is about. I keep hearing about it. I don't care. Jay Money, man, I forgot this was happening. Yeah, fuck off, Jay. You're 40 minutes late. Presley said Chase's story about Martin telling Nick he fucking hate. Yeah, Martin was literally yelling at Nick on stage. He was literally yelling at Nick. Like, I fucking hate you. Nick is like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Um. Oh yeah, yeah. Jay Money says knee hot. Is that how you say his name, Jay? Super impressive, guys. The fucking classic. Like, I'm not like a huge classic physique fan, like, but I was that day. Holy shit, it was super cool. All of them were some of the most impressive physiques I saw the entire weekend. Did you see the women's bodybuilding? Yeah, girl who took second is about to be the Ronnie of that division. 100%. All the women's divisions were very cool to watch. And normally I'm not like totally into it, but I am now. I am now. I think it's really good shit. It was so much fun for me to watch. Jay said, sorry, blame Ray for not reminding the homies. Yeah, Ray's fucking slacking. Finally getting to meal two, he said. Meal two. Yeah, I ran behind on meals today too because I was waiting to see if we were gonna switch to a high day or not. So I was waiting for AJ to make that call. Raymond says, "Hey man, I'm picking up a damn U-Haul. I don't care. Can't send a fucking message out that your boy's live. Unbelievable. Fucking trash." Small says they put so much effort into their routines. It's actually entertaining. Super good shit. Super good shit. Yeah, all the women's divisions were incredibly entertaining for me to watch. Paul, which has a better fan experience, the Arnold or the Olympia? For the Arnold, I didn't watch. Like, dude, we were sitting behind the judges for the Olympia, so my perception is skewed of what's a normal experience, right? Like, we didn't do that at the Arnold. Um, so like obviously the Olympia was a much better experience for me. But the Arnold is still super cool. Um, I think the Arnold's great. Better fan experience. Yeah, that's tough because my perception is so skewed from the experience we had at the Olympia. Um, which I'm grateful for my friends for being able to have that opportunity. But yeah, I think they're both great. Um, the Arnold for me is easier because we can just drive there, right? Um, the Olympia is a fucking we got to go to Vegas. Like it's and bringing all your food through the airport and it's not hard to do, but it's time consuming. When we go to the Arnold, Chase and I will just drive there and I just throw all my fucking meals in one of our cars and we just go, right? So a lot less prep work for me to get to the Arnold. So, that factors in for me. Um, but yeah, overall, I think either one is worth going to. Paul said, got the VIP treatment. Yeah. Yeah, we did. We had a good weekend. Yeah, it was very good. Um, what other questions you guys got about either the Olympia or training, nutrition, gear, peptides? What do you guys got? Paul said, "Oh yeah, Keon's only weakness was his abs." Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those. I kind of have like a split in my abs too, though, so it's pretty common. But yeah, I don't know. I've heard that from other people, saying it's like a big issue. I don't see it that way. His physique was insane. Terrence Ruffin was incredible. Um, that was a physique where I don't know. I could have seen Terrence winning even above Dino, and Dino was great. So take that for what it's worth. J Money, do you ever get tired of the off season? No. And is that ever a good reason to change phases? No. No. No, no, no. There's no such thing as an off season for me because if you don't bodybuild, your entire life is an off season. So, you know what I mean? There's no off season. Not a thing. It's not a thing. It's just you're just eating and fucking training, dude. Like that's that's literally the lifestyle. You're eating and training. So what do lifestyle people do? They're always in the off season then, right? So do they get tired of living and existing? No, Jay, dig in. Fucking just enjoy training. No, I don't get tired. I don't get tired of the off season. And if you are, it's not a reason to by change phases. I'm assuming you mean that means diet. No, you don't diet until you have to. Because if your body's growing, let it fucking grow. Why would you stop it? Why would you stop a moving train if it's headed in the right direction to the destination that it's supposed to go? Are you going to stand in front of it because you're worried about your abs going away? No, you need to grow. Raymond says, I think Keon poses really well around his midsection. He does a good job at hiding it. Yeah, I don't notice it. I don't notice it until I look at Instagram. They're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, guys, Instagram fucks with your guys' heads so bad. So bad. And love you all, but stop. I can't tell you how many times people are like, this guy's the next Olympia. And there's so many guys that don't even bodybuild anymore that were supposed to be Mr. Olympia. Where the fuck are they, guys? Where'd they all go? They were supposed to be Mr. Olympia. Now they don't even fucking compete anymore. It's crazy. The internet's crazy. David says, I struggle to connect with my triceps. I've never heard that. That's weird. Not weird like you're weird, but like it's just a weird occurrence. What are your favorite tricep exercises? Any sort of extension. I think push downs are kind of lame. So anything where the elbow's extending, training the long head. I like rolling dumbbell tricep extensions. Those are my favorite tricep. That's my favorite tricep exercise. I like the JM press. Any type of extension press combo is my favorite tricep exercise. I don't do any push downs or any of that. Diesel Dave, with working with Coach Danny, does she focus on progressive overload if that's what we need at that time? And I have to answer it like that because nothing's cut and dried. You guys should know this. There's not this person does this and that's it. No, it's no. If progressive overload is what we need at that time for a specific movement, then maybe. But there's no. That's like saying AJ Sims only does carb cycling. No, he doesn't always just do carb cycling, right? Yeah. So Danny's too smart to lock herself into one thing and be like, oh, this is the hill I'm going to die on. Because anyone that does that, anyone that just picks one thing and that's it, that's their whole methodology, they're garbage. Danny is too fucking smart to do that. She's too smart. When people think they have it all figured out, like, yep, this is it. This is how I need to train for the rest of my life. Progressive overload is it. That's all I can do. That's stupid. It's stupid, you know? No one should, if you have one fucking tool, what happens when you run into a problem where that tool isn't going to work? You're just going to keep beating shit with a hammer because that's your only tool? You know what I mean? So, no, I would never classify Danny's entire fucking decades of knowledge into one subject. Dylan says I just say push phase or off season is silly. I don't know what you mean. David says, I can't wait to grow these twigs I have for legs. Your legs really aren't that bad. They're really not. Your upper body is probably a bit more dominant, but your legs aren't bad. But your upper body is very, very pronounced and thick. Yeah, you have a lot of size on you, especially for the weight that you're at. Yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look. Jay Money said, "Well put." Yeah, Jay. I don't get caught up in the terminology of things. It's silly. Tom G in the house. What is your opinion? Would be the most fucking Tom. Do you read this shit back to yourself before you hit enter? Maybe I'm what in your opinion would be the most accurate way to measure body fat if you have a lot of loose skin? Tom, just lose more body fat. It's not just loose skin. I have guys with tons of fucking loose skin that are peeled. Peeled. I know what's skin and what's not. Go look at my man Jared. He's fucking shredded and he's got loose skin. Well, how do I know what's skin and what's fat? Because he's fucking peeled. It's very apparent. So just get less fat, Tom. Stop it. Brett says the kettlebell extensions from Creeping Death 2 are so sick. Yeah, any type of extension. That's how you train your triceps. Paul, extensions are best, but single arm rope pushdowns aren't bad to mix in. That's kind of an extension, though. Kind of. I don't know. Presley says progressively overload your elbows with some extensions. Yeah, extensions are the greatest. Yep, 100%. Paul J, any advice on getting more back engagement instead of bicep engagement on pull day? I guess it depends like what movement you're talking about. I could give you generic cues like think about pulling with your elbow and shit like that, but that's not always going to work for everyone. I don't know, Paul. Really, I would have to see like what your movements look like. Sometimes it's just the angle of the way people are pulling. Like the cable should align with like the forearm and it should all pull like in the same line instead of like, let's say the lever of the machine is like down here and you're pulling up here. Like, yeah, that's obviously hitting. But then if you drop the forearm down, it's going to be more back, right? Just like things like that are to be cognitive of. And then I also think about the pressure on my hand like where I'm putting the pressure on my hand, most of the time I'm thinking about keeping the pressure on my pinky and my ring finger. And that seems to engage the lat a bit more than the bicep. Whereas if you put pressure on the index and middle finger, that seems to trigger the bicep and front delt a bit more. So you can even do that just like sitting here. Like if you just grab your hand, squeeze your pinky and your ring finger, and you'll feel your tricep and your lat fire. But if you squeeze the index and middle finger, you'll feel the bicep and the front delt fire. You can do that just sitting here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that's part of the thing is hand pressure. And I'm always thinking about keeping more pressure when I'm training back on my pinky and my ring finger and kind of focusing more pressure on those. So hand pressure is part of it. The angle of pull, what you're allowing the humerus to do in the scapula, that's going to be a part of it too. DLC says my upper body definition is more. Oh, my upper body is definitely more developed than lower body. I just want to even it out. Adam says DLC, you and me both. Yeah. I mean, no one's perfectly like symmetrical. Humans aren't supposed to be. Our organs aren't even symmetrical, right? If you look at our organ system, it's not. Our lungs don't inflate at the same rate and things like that. You'll have a mass over here, and yeah, no one's ever going to be perfectly symmetrical. And depending on your structure, some muscles are going to grow faster than the others for certain people. It's all, a lot of it's out of our control. There's stuff we can do to improve it, of course, but it's not something we have full control over. Dylan, just agreeing with you, off season is silly. I don't know. Like I said, I don't need a name for things. Brett says loose skin is your battle scar. I'm a fat ass. Yeah, Brett has loose skin, but he looks awesome. And I know what's fat and what's loose skin on him. So, Dylan in the house. What's up, Dylan? Let me know if you have questions. We discussed the Olympia results a little bit, actually, for a while. We talked about how to not assume that you actually know what the people look like just based off Instagram photos, because it's very different. And I learned that a lot this year. I always knew it, but like seeing it was just very different. Now, like I see the photos and I'm like, that motherfucker didn't look that good, or that motherfucker didn't look that bad. So very interesting how people can dig in and find the photo to fit their narrative. Jay Money, what is your current training split and how are you enjoying it? I remember you saying you had a posterior day. That's been your favorite lately. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Jay. Monday is push day. That one is a bit heavier. Heavy's relative. It's just set up different. It's set up different. It's more focused on pressing and things like that. Day 2 is a back day. It's kind of just your typical back day, straight arm pull down, single arm lat pull down, couple different styles of rowing, nothing crazy. And then Wednesday's legs. And then I take a rest day Thursday. Friday, is that today? Yeah, that's today. It's more like an upper body pump day. Lots of shoulder volume, lots of different style of raises, a little bit of arms. Um, it's a really fun day. Um, yeah, and then Saturday is my posterior day, which is still my favorite day. That is starts with leg curls, and then it's like a 45-degree hyperextension type thing, and then an RDL, then a T-bar row. Um, I don't really know what happens after that. I do some other shit, some type of lat pull down. I think I don't know. It's my favorite day. I just enjoy it. I don't know why it's my favorite day because it's probably the most simple day. That and leg day are like my two. You guys would look at them on paper and be like, "Do you even fucking exercise?" But like the quality that goes into what's written on paper is high quality. But yeah, if you saw my workout on paper, you'd be like, this looks like my warm up. Yeah. And it's because sometimes things on paper don't translate to the real world. A lot of the times they don't. Dylan says Nick Walker was the craziest size in the world on IG. Granted, he's still huge, but looked out of this world. No, he was. he was still he was still probably the biggest on stage, kind of in a bad way too. He's a little too big, but we all know that. We saw it. Brett says homemade skip tonight. Yep. Dylan, prep brain, is that prep brain in? Is that today? Yeah, I don't fucking know what day it is. J Money, Dylan just wrote me an upper lower program for 4 days a week. I'm recently becoming exhausted during the week and decided to pull back a bit. Yeah, it's hard to write people workouts unless you're there with them. And like I said, shit that's written on paper or people writing things on paper, it doesn't always translate to the real world. Like some people, when I write their programs, I have to program like a fuck ton of volume because I know they don't train hard. So like they're doing like 10 sets of fucking leg curls when like a guy like Dylan, I would have to give 1 to 2 sets of leg curls. And I know he's going to take those to the fucking moon. You know what I mean? But then there's other people where like they've sent me videos of them training and it's like, I'm just going to smash your ass with fucking volume because one set is not going to do it for you. George in the house. Good evening, Tommy. How we doing, George? We are good. We're always good, alive, and well, doing better than I deserve. Thank you for being here. Dylan says, hope the split goes great, Jay. Yeah, that's awesome. J Money, upper body B was a blast. Thanks again. Yeah, that's all good stuff. Yeah, and part of it is, Jay is like, Dylan only knows so much of what you're feeling, as someone who's like writing a program for someone. So he gives you that freedom to be like, hey man, you have to make your own calls here and know how to auto regulate. And Jay, that's something you'll learn, which sounds like you're learning already, which is great. It's something you're going to have to learn over time. When to pull back, when to push, and really just be cognitive of what your body's telling you and being able to keep your ego aside. And then at the same time, the other side of the coin is knowing, hey, like maybe you're just being lazy. Maybe you can push a little harder. It's a fine dance, though. It's a fine dance. George, what is the highest weekly training volume you have done at an average of to IRR, and how did that work for you? I know exercise selection frequency and all that matters. So touch on that if you want. Some guys need to pull back more than others too in terms of volume and or intensity and effort. I don't know, dude. I've done a fuck ton of volume before. I've driven myself into the ground. Like, sorry, there's still, my neighborhood is not fully finished being built yet, so we get construction traffic. I've ran myself into the ground so far before, George, that I was fucked up for months. Like, my central nervous system was fucked up for months, literally. And that's not like a pat on my own back. It's fucking stupid, but yeah, it's something I had to do to learn not to do that anymore. So yeah, I've definitely trained myself way into a hole before. It's not good. You don't grow like that. George says some guys need to pull back more than others. Yeah, 100%. 100%. George, there's adapting to certain stimulus and gradually increasing things like volume, intensity, whatever. Yeah, George, for months. Yeah, I don't know why guys think overtraining is not a real thing. It is. It's not this boogie fatigue monster that people talk about, but yeah. I've fucked myself up before where, my CNS was fucked up for months. My whole digestive system was fucked up. Everything was. J Money was definitely a total CNS issue from work and training. Yeah, working a physical job. Same Jay, doing heating and air in the sun and shit. Hot 12-hour days, 14-hour days. Working outside in the heat, training on top of that. It's lots to recover from. Current programming will be great. Doesn't change volume too much, but allows me to get good midweek reset. And like, just because something's written on paper doesn't mean you have to do it, Jay. So just remember that. There's a lot of times where, and I'll put it in my check-in with Danny, like, hey, I was fucking done after this, so I didn't do this. Cool. She knows me. I've been training for over 20 years. So she's like, yeah, I'm glad you made that call because I'm not there to fucking make it for you, right? George said, I overreached once, but I deloaded for a week or 10 days from the gym. I've been back after 3 to 4 sessions. Probably because they don't put in enough work and intensity to achieve it. Yeah, George, a lot of people can't actually overtrain because they've never trained hard in their life. So I learned to train from guys like Dave Tate, who have literally trained to the point of giving themselves strokes. Like I said, it's not like a pat on my back, but that's where I came from. Those are the people that I looked up to, fucking Dave Tate and John Meadows. Like, that's a lot of where my work ethic came from, is that type of training. Joe just got here super late. Yeah, don't worry, I was late too. What did I miss? We talked Olympia stuff, Olympia shit, placings and how the internet doesn't show the full story. How a lot of the guys looked much better in person than they did on the internet, and how some of them looked significantly worse than they did on the internet. So, all things to keep in mind. John, any thoughts on hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Yeah, they're good. Jim offers a monthly membership for it, but thinking it's just finding ways to spend more money. No, they work. They work. It's just like there's nothing magical about it. But yeah, all that shit works. As much as you guys want to think it's foo-foo and silly, like, no, don't skip 8 hours of sleep to go fucking go in a hyperbaric chamber. But if you're doing everything else, don't step over the dollars to pick up the pennies. But if you're doing everything else, Sure, you can add these little things in. They're fine. They're fine. You know what I mean? Especially if it's not like a huge cost and you have access to it. Why the fuck not? It'll improve your HRV, lower your resting heart rate. It's all good shit. The hyperbaric chambers, yeah, it's good shit. Dylan says benefits of red light, cold plunge, sauna. Obviously, they're base benefits. What are your reason for consistently keeping them in? Because once something gets added in, I keep it in. It's now a part of my checklist. I don't take things out. I rely on consistency. That's how I get results. So if something's added, it's added to stay. You know what I mean? It doesn't, I don't just like random, oh, I'm going to do a little cold plunge this week and then not do it for 6 months. No, if we're doing red light and cold plunge, it's staying in. You know, and like I said previously, I'm doing all the other shit. I'm doing the big items. So like red light, cold plunge, sauna, they're not all like big game changers, but why the fuck wouldn't I do them? Because I'm doing all the other shit already. You know what I mean? George, did you experience the crazy strength, power, and connection loss where you barely hit your warm-up weights and every exercise felt slow? Yeah, George. Yeah, I've had years where I felt like that, dude. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Like you constantly feel like you got hit by a truck. Dude, George, like I couldn't function on a normal level as a human. Like put training aside. I could not drive a car for more than 30 minutes without falling asleep while I'm driving. Do you understand what I'm saying? I could not make it through a full day without falling asleep every hour, every 2 hours. Like falling asleep, like to the point where if I didn't pull over my work truck, I was going to crash it. That's what I mean by overtrained and fatigued and just ran into the ground. Like to the point where I couldn't literally exist as a human. Put training aside. That was a whole separate issue. George, I had days where I would get to the gym and I would fall asleep in the parking lot. After just sleeping for 6 hours, drive 15 minutes to the gym after I eat, meal one, get ready, everything, feeling good, drive to the gym, falling asleep on the drive to the gym, falling asleep in the parking lot at the gym, waking up after 30 minutes, then going to work out. That's what my life was like for months. So, yeah. David said, I love the cold plunge and sauna. Sauna's easy. Cold plunge is hard. Cold plunge is very brutal. It's very brutal. George, can you buy a red light bulb? No, you can't just buy a red light bulb. Donnie in the house. What's up, Donnie? Do you think the KPV would help with water retention in the off season? It could, Donnie, but it depends what the water retention's from, right? So you need to figure out what the underlying cause of the water retention is. As much as I'd love to say, hey, Donnie, go pick up some KPV, Omega Amino, code Tommy, save some money, help me out, keep my son fed. I think you really need to figure out the underlying issue of the water retention first before just throwing KPV in. That would be my suggestion. Paul says I can vouch for cryotherapy, brings down inflammation quickly. Yeah, all that shit does, Paul. Yeah. George, how did you work out like that? I didn't have a choice, George. I didn't have a choice. What was my option? Not work out? It's not an option. George, you became like that last week's of prep. How didn't it make you think something was wrong? Because George, I lived that way for years. I lived that way for an entire year, dude. I didn't realize it was wrong until I told someone about it. I just adjusted to it. This is now my normal, George. People have a really good way of normalizing things that aren't normal. That's what humans do. Right? Yeah, that's what I did. I just normalized it. And I'm like, well, this is just, you know what I mean? I'm just tired. I didn't think it was an issue until, I started talking to AJ about it, and they started talking to Danny about it. And they're like, okay, that's really bad, dude. I didn't know it was an issue, George. I really didn't. I just thought I knew it sucked, but I thought, okay, maybe this is just how everyone feels. Maybe this is just part of having a newborn, part of working 2 different jobs, right? Coaching full-time heating and air, others things that were going on, training, starting to contest prep, like all of those things, like I just thought it was normal. When you see such performance, there wasn't. When you see such huge performance decreases in the gym, isn't that a big there wasn't. I was still training fine. My training was fine. I just couldn't fucking stay awake. Jay, stress is a big factor for water retention for me. Yeah, it can be for sure. Yeah. Just the adrenal system, right, Jay? When you supply more context, it makes more sense, especially if you were in a prep. I wasn't in a deficit yet. We were starting a contest prep. George, stop. So you weren't overreached. How is that not overreaching? So your CNS was functioning. No. Stop it, George. George, just stop. Foxer, what are your thoughts on fast weight loss versus slow weight loss for better skin recovery, less loose skin? If you're fat, lose weight. If you're fat, you need to lose fat. Doesn't matter how fucking fast or slow it is. Figure out the skin later. Get the surgery. Doesn't matter. There's no sense in slowing down fat loss because you think it's going to preserve skin. If you're fat, you need to get the fat off. Brett says, when's your show? I'm thinking about trying to drive over. November 8th. David says, I'm trying to figure out if I can make it to the show. Appreciate you guys. Dylan says, currently looking at sauna, cold plunge, red light now. Yeah, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. Brett says, I'd rather have loose skin and be in shape. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, imagine if those are the two options. Like, yeah, I'm fat as fuck, but my skin looks really tight. Yeah, it looks tight, all right. It looks fucking stretched to the gills because you're full of fucking cottage cheese. Knock that shit off. Get the fucking fat off your body. Get the fat off your body. Gross ass pigs. John says, just wanted to thank you for the advice you guys previously gave. Our spouses hate our lifestyle, but implementing it these past couple weeks and it's game changing. Yeah, John, I'm happy to hear that. It's very important to not allow our partners to resent what we do. And it's normally our fault because, guys will come to me, oh, my wife isn't happy about this and this. And it's like, all right, well, what'd you do wrong? Oh no, it's her. No, it's not. It's not her. It's not them. It's you. You're doing something wrong. You suck. That's why. Foxer, yeah, good point. Fat is life threatening. Loose skin is not. Yeah, dude, there's literally no justification to be fat. You cannot fucking justify that to me or anyone. No. That's like justifying being broke. Yeah, but I don't have any fucking debt because I just can't pay it. Like, what? I don't own anything, so I can't lose anything. Like, no, you can't justify being fat no matter how hard you try. Stop it. Paul, what division are you competing in? I'm a bodybuilder. Brett, I'm losing half a pound a week. Only 2 years ago till I have a B cup. Yeah, maybe. Where'd George go? Mm-hmm. John, all my females. Yeah, I like George. I don't know why he always like challenges me though. He's so weird about shit. I love him though. He's a good dude. But yeah, he always like wants to challenge me for some reason. Get the fuck out of here. All my female nursing coworkers dislike me after they said it's easy for me to look like this because I'm a guy. For which I replied, then why then why are all your husbands fat? Man. I gotta pee, but that's so funny. I'll be right back. That's actually hilarious because like they legitimately think it's easier for you, John. They do. So, that's fucking funny. Brett says you told him to stop, so he did. I like the guy. I just for some reason he always wants to challenge me on shit. And I don't know. Go fucking bother someone else. I don't fuck with that shit. I'm not giving you my opinions on other influencers and stop it. Oh, Joey says, quick blood work question for you. CRP is way high coming off cycle, obviously. What else should I do to bring it down? What are you talking about way high? Like 70? 100? Or are you talking about like 10? Let me know what way high is. 22. Yeah, that's getting up there. Yeah, you're just gonna want to focus on you're gonna want to dial back training, which I know is hard for you to fucking fathom, but you need to dial back training. Um, you mentioned creatinine with a higher creatinine EGFR than statin C. Yeah, you're experiencing adrenal stress. You need to address that. So you need to pull back on training, and you need to get all of your other um, health supplements and things in order. Glutathione, antioxidant stuff. Honestly, some of the mitochondrial stuff might help you bounce back a little quicker. MOTS-C, shit like that. That will help. That'll play a role. Make sure your thyroid's good. With CRP that high, you could be fucking up some conversion. So get your reverse T3 checked if you haven't. You want to make sure all those things are in line too. John said it's annoying when people try to downplay what we do. Yeah, it's just because they can't do it. That's all. Christopher, what are the signs you should have seen to avoid that CNS burnout? Dude, man, it's there were so many signs. There were so many signs. You know, um, one was just like the constantly falling asleep all the time, dude. Like all the time. And I have a CPAP and everything, and I use it. I was still always, always falling asleep. Like my feet were always, I always felt like I was in prep. And like, mind you, I was just getting started on prep. So like my food was still really, really high and all that stuff. Like, it's not like I was in a deficit, maybe no, I wasn't. We weren't even in a deficit. We were just cleaning things up because we started prepping at like 28 weeks out, just cleaning things up. Sorry about the truck. But yeah, falling asleep in the gym parking lot, taking longer between exercises, um, like I would finish an exercise and like, fuck, I gotta go over there and do this one now. And I'm like dragging my feet across the gym floor, and dude, there's so many signs, bro. There were so many signs. John says Joey's massive in person. Joey's just massive. Joey says John is still wider than me. Yeah, John's a big boy. Brett just got home from work and Shelby bought me groceries and a log of Zins. I don't like Zins. Tell her she should have got you Rogues. But that is a good life partner that you are going to be choosing. Joey said he got my free T3, free T4 check. T3 was pretty high. Did you get your reverse T3 is what I asked you. But T4 is in range. Only taking 50 micrograms of Pharma T4. Yeah, but if your reverse T3 is high, then your Pharma T4 is kind of fucking pointless because it's just getting bound up. Mel says, dumb question here. What are the signs to know that I need a deload? Yeah, feeling of fatigue is one of them. Lack of intensity, I don't know. Not always. When I feel like I need a deload is when I just don't feel like training. That's normally my telltale sign. But if you use wearables like Oura Ring or Apple Watch, you can watch the HRV, resting heart rate. Those will start to get worse. HRV will fucking plummet. Those are like readables to look out for. Thanks for joining, Paul. Paul said I got to bounce. Have a great weekend. Yep, you too, man. Mel Mac, I used to think deloading was done when you're basically injured and can't work out. No, that's called being injured. Joey, I did not cheap out. Yeah, you need to get reverse T3 checked. Like, dude, I've seen Reverse T3 should really be under like 20. I've seen guys as high as fucking like 45. So yeah, get that checked. Cause like, dude, maybe that's why you're feeling like shit. Oh yeah, Dylan. Yeah, we just fixed Dylan's reverse T3. His was all fucked up. We're in the process of fixing that. Yeah, but like CRP and the conversion of thyroid are go hand in hand. So if your CRP is that high, I'd wonder. I'd wonder about that reverse T3. Talk to sorry, his name's Ben, right? I always forget his fucking name because I always call him the pirate. Talk to Ben about that. He'll be able to explain why that happens. But yeah, just get your reverse T3 checked. It's not that expensive. I cheaped out. You fucking shut up, dude. You have a job. Small says all my homies hate reverse T3. Yeah. Smalls is all fucked up during prep. And we fixed his and shit got better right away. Joey, yeah, it's Ben. I'm sorry. I'm sending him the blood work. I might check in tomorrow. Just wanted your take on it too. Yeah, it's yeah, he'll be able to explain all that to you as well. But yeah, for sure, the CRP and the thyroid conversion are going to be huge. So make sure that you go pull a reverse T3 marker for him so he can have that as well. And then he can help you get that situated. There's things like the other thing you should have checked was cortisol AM. So maybe if you're going to do the reverse T3, maybe add cortisol too. Yeah, because those all go hand in hand. So you want to make sure that's good. Damn, did George really leave? Man, miss him. Dylan said check-in Mondays are going to be nutty. Are they? Why? Joey said, I appreciate the advice, Tommy. Thanks. Looks like I'm making another trip to the hospital. Yeah. Brett says, well, was your CNS functioning? George. Love you, George. Well, actually, that means. No, I like George. He's always nice. What questions do we have? Gear, blood work, food, prep. Brett says, Tommy, my quality of life in and out of the gym with the carbs you added has been so nice. I just didn't realize how out of it I was until you bumped me back up. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Brett, that's the same thing where we just normalize like what we're feeling. Look at fucking fat people, dude. They just normalize being fat and like they don't even realize how shitty they feel. Or like people that have really shitty diets, like they don't even know they feel like shit until they don't anymore. And then they're like, God damn, I felt like shit for 15 years and I had no fucking idea. Wild concept, you know. But then again, like the only reason we know what hot is because we know what cold is, right? You would never know what cold feels like unless you knew what hot felt like, because it's just the absence of something that makes you more aware, right? So all of a sudden you don't feel like shit, and you're like, oh, guess I felt like shit for a while, So, yeah. It's like the absence of the fat on my ass right now. So I feel like I'm sitting on a fucking tailbone. Joey said my CNS doesn't function, Brett. I fall asleep between my last 2 meals almost every day. Yeah, dude. That's real shit. It's real shit. And sometimes that is the thyroid, Joey. So yeah, definitely check that out. Adrenal stress, just the RAS system in general, right? Especially a lot of you guys are, Jesus, it's like a fucking, I'm sorry if this is loud. There's a lot of background noise. But it's hot as fuck in this room, so I need this window open. A lot of you guys are smashing telmisartan and you're using hydrochlorothiazide and you're just bombing your aldosterone system. And you can have your aldosterone too low, where now you're creating downstream negative effects. But my blood pressure's good, bro. Yeah, well, your whole fucking RAS system's fucked up because you just buried your aldosterone. That's not good either. I don't even, like, I'm in prep. So, there's the body weight is lighter and, things like that are improving my blood pressure, but I'm not using any blood pressure medication at all. I feel great and my blood pressure is in range. And it's because I balanced the electrolytes and the hydration. And I didn't just bomb my aldosterone system by taking an ARB. So that's another thing to keep in mind, Joey, is just guys want to use, telmisartan, hydrochlorothiazide to counteract their shitty fucking Chinese growth hormone. And then they're wondering why they can't function. It's because your whole adrenal system's messed up. Brett says, I can't even take a nap most days, even if I train hard. Joey says, if you had to choose, Tommy, would you rather have an English muffin? Okay, I like this. Would you rather have an English muffin, toast, or a bagel? Fuck. Right now, either way, all three of them, I would want sourdough. Right? All three of them, I would want sourdough. Dude, this one's hard for me because I'll tell you why. I don't get a ton of cravings. The one thing that fucking kills me that I genuinely crave is bread with butter and jelly on it. Jam or jelly, whatever the fuck you guys want to call it. Either one. And the other one is, me and my friend Presley were talking about this. Crackers and cheese, like a fucking charcuterie board. Man, those are delicacies in this life. Crackers and cheese, bread, butter, and jelly. So if I was going to choose right now, literally right now, if I had to go down to the freezer and pull out some of my sourdough, I would grab a sourdough English muffin. I would toast that motherfucker, and I would put some clarified butter on there, some ghee, or some high quality grass fed butter, and some type of probably strawberry preserves of some kind. That is what I crave. I don't need a cheeseburger. That stuff's great and grand and whatever, but like that, like sourdough English muffin with butter and jelly of some kind, and like cream of rice with peanut butter. Like that's what I need right now. Those are the things. Those are the things I crave. You got to try honey butter. Yeah, that like shit like that, dude. Yeah, I love that. Like fucking like a cinnamon honey butter or something. Yeah, it's good shit. 100%. Yeah, Amy knows. Amy says sourdough. Dude. There's Costco sells like this 3-pack of sourdough bread. It's like Essential brand or whatever. Maybe you guys have seen it. That shit's good as fuck. And there's only like 5 ingredients in it. And the other one that I get, some of you know this. I think all of you are my clients. Besides Joey, but he still loves me. And besides Jay Money, but he loves me. Organic Bread of Heaven. If you guys haven't ordered from them, and I don't have like any affiliation with them, check them out. Check them out. They bake it fresh each week. They send it. They do recommend that you freeze it right away. So I order a lot of stuff from them. I get burger buns from them for when I make homemade burgers. I think they have like pizza crust. They have sourdough pasta, English muffins, bagels, all that shit. They have really good stuff. And my wife and I get stuff from them, and I throw it in the freezer right away. And then my sister-in-law owns a bakery where she makes sourdough products, and her shit's good too. So yeah, like that's my shit. That is my shit. Oh, let's see. Oh, Joey says I'm just taking 40. Tell me certain. No hydrochloride. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. A lot of people are bombing their aldosterone systems and they don't even know it. J Money, thoughts on off-season trend use and where you might apply that in a general case? Yeah, I think it's okay within reason. I think the dose can be a lot smaller than people assume. A lot smaller than people assume. Where you might apply that in a general case. Whether people are either hitting a plateau or they're just looking for a little extra edge for a short while, or I'm trying to clean up some unfavorable body composition. If the body, once you really start pushing food, if the body composition starts to get really muddy, sometimes I'll throw in, it's pretty rare, but sometimes I'll throw in a little trend to see if how it cleans up. And when I say little, I'm talking like 10 milligrams a day, maybe up to 20 to 30 a day, max, really. I used to think it needs to be run higher, and it doesn't. It doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. And really, the other one, Jay, like in a low dose, depending on how you aromatize and stuff, like mint, I know it gets a bad name, but shit works pretty fucking good. Just gonna say it. I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's necessary, but yeah, I think it works when it's needed. It's never needed. Like, let's say a lot of you guys are running tests in EQ now. Let's say you accidentally bury your estrogen with the equipoise, because that happens a lot. One way to bring it up pretty quick is just running 14 days of mint at like a low dose. Yeah, it's powerful stuff for sure. Brett said, if you had to give up one thing forever, would it be Rogues or sourdough bread? I could give up nicotine. Yeah, I would give up nicotine before sourdough bread. Maybe. Depends when you ask me. Joey, even cheap crackers and cheese are amazing. Yeah, dude, you can get fucking off-brand crackers and cheese, and I love that shit. Amy says sourdough toasted with butter and honey. Yeah, like fucking local. We have a local farm, literally 5 minutes from here, and we get local honey, and it's crazy good. Crazy good. Apricot sugar-free jelly, says Dylan. Yeah, that's a good one. I've been liking I normally lean towards strawberry for some reason, or like a mixed berry is fine. Brett said honey butter with brown sugar. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Mel Mac, honey butter on a warm dinner roll. Fucking calm down, Mel. What's that rest? Is it Cheesecake Factory? That is it like that brown bread? That shit's good. That shit's good. Bread is like, man, that's good shit. Yeah, David's ordered the organic bread of heaven. That shit's awesome. Brett said, my cousin's wife took on baking during COVID and got so good at it, she makes me like 30 loaves of sourdough bread and 10 boxes of sourdough English muffins for like $100. It's so nice. Yeah. My sister-in-law has a full like company and she kills it. She does really well. She makes good shit. She sells out like the local farmers market and stuff. So it's a cool little gig for her. You guys are fucking perverts. Jay, honey butter on a nice hot scone. Fuck. Calm down, Jay. You don't need any trend, you little pervert. Joey, hey, have you encountered any people who don't get lowered E2 from EQ? No. I haven't. I haven't, no. I really can't think of anyone. Who it doesn't have some effect on. The weird thing about equipoise, and no one will ever check this unless they do it on accident or unless you do it now because I'm telling you to. Get your total estrogen checked on equipoise, like your E1, E2, E3. And your total estrogen will be through the fucking roof. The one time I did it, because there was a pre-made panel for females, but it had a lot of the shit that I wanted to check. But it also just happened to have like a full estrogen panel. Michael, I don't need that, but whatever, because I want the other things that were included in that panel. So I pulled it regardless, right? And I got my total estrogen back while I was on equipoise. And it was something like 5,000 or something fucking outrageous. And I think that's like how it works is, you know, it doesn't convert to E2 because it's all bound up into like E1 or whatever, right? So I think what I was reading is just a different form of estrogen from the equipoise. But yeah, the numbers were outrageous. I remember sending them to John Meadows. I'm like, John, what the fuck is this? And he kind of explained it in that way. And he's like, if you want to be proactive, you can maybe take Novadex, or he's like, or just leave it alone if you're not having, you know, high estrogen side effects. So yeah, I remember sending him that. That was, I don't know, 2016, maybe. I don't know. It was a while ago, but yeah, I remember doing that once, and it was weird. So I'd be curious if you guys ever try that. Get your total estrogen checked on equipoise. Brett said our freezer is full. Yeah, I just bought a second fridge this week. Just because my food takes up so much space. I feel bad that my wife doesn't have any room for anything. So I bought a separate fridge so we can fucking have more space to organize things. I like being organized. Brett, what's the scone's name, Jay? Yeah, no shit. I'm hungry. Tell Ray to give me more carbs. Carbs are for the weak. If the meat wasn't so fatty, I'd get half a cow's worth of meat for the year. You can still do it, Brett. You can. I'm good with it. If you do it, and how you prepare it, you can rinse it off and throw it back in a pan, and you can get a lot of the fat off. But if you're only eating red meat once or twice a day, I mean, you'll be fine. Adam, for new gyno, how long does it usually take for Nova to make improvement if E2 is back in check? I mean, it depends. There's always a little gyno because we have breast gland, right? So like, unless you get that shit cut out, there's always a little bit underlying there. So when it flares up, it's just the gland that's existing is just now so large that you can actually feel it or see it on the surface. But it's always there. It's just a lot of the times it's more apparent when it's inflamed or when you're leaner or both, right? But Novadex reduces it pretty quickly in size, within a week or two, in my experience. It normally shrinks it down. Brett says, my dad's employee raises black Angus and she does like 40 steaks in 4 different cuts, 10 of each, 40 rolls of ground beef for like $600. Yeah, I would just do it, dude. Let me see, Smalls. Oh, I'm sorry. Besides red meat, non-heme veggies plus vitamin C, any other recommendations for nutrition supplements to correct anemia in older women, ages 60? Yeah, you can supplement with elemental iron. You just got to be careful with their digestion system, right? A lot of the times, iron can cause gut distress. I think I've sent you the link to that ferritin supplement from Amazon. So you have to check their ferritin levels as well. And then you have to remember sometimes what appears as anemia is actually malabsorption. So maybe there's a gut dysfunction going on where they're actually just not absorbing iron. Right. So sometimes it's actually maybe a gut dysbiosis or, something underlying in the digestion system that's not absorbing the iron the way it should. And you also want to avoid calcium in those meals, Smalls. So like, something like a ancestral blend with bell peppers and you know some type of carb for maybe the last meal and avoid calcium in that meal. And then you can supplement with elemental iron like every other day, like 25 milligrams every other day to start, and just watch the digestion, make sure they don't have issues, because some people get a lot of issues from supplementing with iron as far as what it does to their stomach. um, but yeah, sometimes, so I would look at seeing if they're having any other sort of malabsorption issues like vitamin D3, um, other vitamins and minerals. If they're not absorbing those, sometimes that's a sign. So a lot of the times it can be actually just an absorption issue, and maybe there's plenty iron available, but they're not absorbing it, right? David said, I don't see it. Yeah, we got it, David. It was up there. I passed it. Oh, I missed all this. Oh, it's because of fucking Joey asking about bread, and then the chat blew up. Sorry, Smalls. Jay says carbs are definitely for the weak, but Ray's just greedy and won't let me get fat. It's not fair. Adam, do you feel there's benefit to spreading out magnesium glycinate throughout the day versus all at night? Yeah, you can take magnesium glycinate during the day. Yeah, there's no issue with that. It's not as like calming as something like 3 and 8 or Toro Mag. Like those I would keep at night. But glycinate, you can use glycinate in the morning as well. That's another one for the iron too, Smalls, is make sure they're using magnesium. But I think most people are pretty aware of using, of the importance of magnesium nowadays. Seems to be a bit more prevalent in people's health supplementation. What else? Brett says ask him for more EQ instead of carbs. Yeah, I guess you could do that. You could do that. But more drugs don't build more muscle without food. Food builds muscle. Yep. What else? Yeah, Raymond is moving this weekend. He will be 10 minutes from me. Right down the road. Amy said, did someone say food? Yeah, Amy is hungry right now. Amy's doing it with no GLP right now, too. So just a reminder for some of you that it's possible. Amy said, yes, Amy is hungry and unassisted. Code Tommy, Amy. Save you a bunch of headache. Omega Amino, code Tommy. Yeah, we don't need it in for her right now. She's doing fine. Her upper body's already peeled in shape. We're just tightening up the rest of her lower body, and then we're going to start slowly filling her out and building the diet back up. She's a week behind me for her contest, so we're just pulling her a little tighter. She doesn't need to be any tighter, but she wants to be. But I won't pull her so tight to where she's out of the division. And she knows that. And we've agreed on that because her last contest, she was too lean. Her last bikini contest, she was too lean for the class. And she actually lost to a female who I would consider not in shape, even for the bikini class. But that specific female, she looked good, but she was not lean enough. Amy was arguably too lean. The winner would have been in the middle of them. Joey said, I probably eat more than Amy, John, and Brett put together. Joey, list your macros, and I'll tell you. And I'll tell you. Let's see, Joey. Dylan, Tommy is trying to feed me the old me right now. Yeah, Dylan's doubling in size. Brett says, Dylan, I think I'm gonna buy espresso machine. Yeah, get the Nespresso. That thing's sweet. I have one of those. I don't use it a ton right now, but yeah, those are nice. Dylan said, by the one I have. Yeah, my brother's got like a badass one. Yeah, that's the one my brother has, Dylan. The one you just listed. Amy said that was a hard loss. Yeah, that's unfortunate because um, it's rare that you're too lean for a contest, but in bikini, you don't need veins in your abs for bikini. As cool as it fucking is, you just don't. You don't. Um, little bit of vascularity, like towards the end of contest prep, is fine, but like on show, like they don't really want to see vascularity in the midsection and stuff. That's not a bikini look. And you're already there in the upper body. We're just finishing off the lower body, and then we're just going to fill you out a little bit, and we'll come in with a really, really clean look. Especially once your upper body fills out, because you're starting to get flat in the upper body, but your upper back is like fucking shredded. Striations in the rear delt, striations in the triceps. Low back is starting to even get, the Christmas tree and whatever people call it. But yeah, Amy's upper body right now is peeled, and the lower body isn't far behind. We're just cleaning up the hamstrings and the glute tie-in, and then we can fill her out. So she's full and still hard on stage. So we'll start to fill her out and build up the diet. She'll start feeling really good, and she's actually getting stronger in the gym right now, which is cool. She's still progressing in her lifts. So we'll start to fill her out, and then we'll just clean off some water, and it's gonna be a real polished look. And she has a lot more muscle this year as well than her last competition, so that will be good to when it all comes together. It's going to be a really nice look. I'm excited for it. Very excited for it. Dylan, that sounds expensive. Doesn't matter, bro. Make it happen. Joey says, okay, here we go. Training day is 390 protein. Okay, that's already more than Amy's total caloric day. Almost 1,200 carbs, 60 fat. Yeah. Yeah, off the top of my head, yeah, you're eating more than the three of them combined. Brett says, fine, I'll get one soon. Yeah, just buy it. It's just money. Money comes and goes. Buy the shit you like and enjoy. Off days are 325, 850, and 40. Well, my training day is close to that. Off day. Yeah, true. Dylan's food's getting up there. Joey said, and I lost 4 pounds this week. And I work a desk job. Momax says 1,200 carbs would feel like I won the lottery. Yeah, guys, it's like, it's not so cut and dried. Like, Man, we've had Diesel Dave up that high before, and he just smokes through it. Yeah, everyone, the metabolism is so wild, and it's just really unexplainable, and everyone's just so different. And it changes like week to week. It's wild. It's so much fun though. Um, but yeah, and Dave is not a guy that I can just keep adding carbs, adding carbs, adding carbs. At some point, I need to start adding fat for him, and he always feels better when I add fat. And I know there was like it goes through phases where people like demonize fat for whatever reason, and man, fat is like it's good shit, guys. It will help drive performance, and I don't know why we swing so far the other way sometimes in bodybuilding, where we just demonize something for like a short period of time. Everything works, you know. But yeah, Ben keeps his fats um, a little bit modest from what I've seen. But even, I mean, even 60 grams of fat, that's not like low. Joey said that's the opposite for me. I feel much better with low fat. Yeah, maybe. Or is it because your carbs are so high? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. Dylan said, or Brett said, Joey, with all due respect, I hate you after reading this. Guys, don't be excited about having to eat more food. It's a pain in the ass. Joey just said he's fucking sleeping all the time. Part of that's from all the food he has to eat, guys. It's not fun to eat that amount of food. Joey just does it because that's what he has to do. He doesn't have a choice. You know what I mean? He would do whatever the fuck it takes because that's the type of guy he is. Um, he would eat shards of glass if he had to, you know. So yeah, don't be excited for him because I'm sure some days he doesn't feel like eating all that food. Dylan said, still the least amount of rice per meal I have ever eaten. So they're going down so easy. Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, and you're growing, right? So Jay said, my food is pretty close to Dylan's right now, and he has like 40 pounds on me. Yeah, none of it matters. Dylan in the house. If blood work looks okay, what's the most ideal time on versus time off orals? I don't ever run into E2 sides. I love running anadrol and or D-ball during mass phase and VAR during cuts. I don't think it has to be like a set time on versus time off. In my experience, like in the past, a lot of the times I would just run them kind of in bursts, you know. Um, Anadrol kind of tells me when to stop running it. It's like once my appetite, like Anadrol will start to hit my appetite a little bit after I'm on it for a little while. Let's call it 2 weeks, and then I'm like, my appetite's not crashed, but I feel it, right? So like maybe I'll run 25 milligrams of Anavar, for 2-3 weeks, and if I do start to feel that appetite kind of dwindling off a little too much for my comfort, then maybe I'll switch to Anavar, or maybe I'll just drop everything completely and take a few weeks off, and then maybe I won't even go back on one. It really depends. I think you can kind of throw them in as needed, you know. Smalls was literally just about to ask your opinion on that. I see a bunch of guys recently struggling to gain weight, ripping through 800 to 1,000 carbs with barely any fats. Yeah, add some fats. You know what I mean? And then look at what types of carbs they're using. Like, yeah, guys can fucking slam cream of rice and it's out of their blood, it's out of their bloodstream in a little bit because it's such a fast product. Slow it down with even a little bit of fat. Um, fucking 5 grams of fat. Just slow that shit down a little bit, right? Or switch to a different carb source. Yeah, I love cream of rice as much as the next guy or girl, but I don't think it's always ideal. Some people are eating 5-6 meals a day of cream of rice, and I'm like, man, there's little to no resistant starch in that, and it just blasts through your bloodstream because it's granulated, right? It's pretty much the fucking whey protein of carbs. Um, so yeah, that's something I think a perfect um, combination is cream of rice, maybe mix in some oatmeal with the cream of rice, and then a tiny bit of fat, like 5 to 6 grams for a female, 10 to 12 grams for a male, and that's like a perfect pre-workout meal. Um, and you can use either a protein powder or like a lean protein, and I think that's a great pre-workout meal. Um, Goes through the system nice, blood glucose stays stable for training, doesn't sit in the gut and anything like that. So that's a lot of you guys will have that, guys and girls. I prescribe that as their pre-workout meal, and it really works well. Something like nighttime, I really prefer to lean into oats. So you have that sustain, resistant starch releasing throughout the night, and you're less likely to get a blood glucose dump in the middle of the night where you're waking up to piss 4 or 5 times, right? Another thing to consider. So, yeah, timing of carbs matters too. Brett says, are Anadrol slash Anavar your top two orals for yourself? Um, uh, yeah, I would say. I don't know. I like Superdraw. Halotestin's good. Winstrol's obviously good. Um, D-ball as needed. Everyone demonizes it, and like I said, a lot of you guys are running tests in EQ. You fucking smash your estrogen. Like a really good thing to do would be adding 5-10 milligrams of D-ball for like 10, 12, 14 days. And like, you'll feel like $1,000,000 fucking bucks. I promise. I promise. D-ball gives you a really good feeling in the gym and stuff if you're not so sensitive to aromatizing and stuff. But if you're already smashing your estrogen with equipoise, like a lot of you are now, because some of you guys can't get other compounds or just don't do well with them. I've been a fan of EQ from the beginning. It's always a compound that I've just done well with over at anything else. Primo I do well with, but I've always liked equipoise. It's one compound that I can truly feel the performance from it. And when I mean by that is the best thing for me about equipoise is how quickly I recover in between sets. So I can do an exercise, and instead of 2, 3, 4 minutes where like I'm ready to bang again, like I can finish a set and like 60 seconds later, I'm ready to go at 100% capacity when I'm running equipoise specifically. And it's something I notice from that exact compound. It's not like a placebo. It's something where I've used it enough for the last 10 years where I can actually identify that benefit from that compound. So, um, blue collar bodybuilding Dave in the house. What is up, my dudes? And Amy. Amy says oats over core every day. I'm a fan of both of them. I like to have a mix of them. And I think people are sleeping on buckwheat. Cream of buckwheat is so good. Cream of buckwheat is so good. You guys need to try some of that. Maybe I'll put that in some of your plans. Um, I'll find a spot for some of you. Like cream of buckwheat mixed with like beef. Man, that's a great meal. It's really good. DLC. I love how core makes me feel. I just don't like the texture. Yeah, David, there's different types of core out there of cream of rice. Um, some is a little more grainy, and then you can cook it different ways. I think you just have to experiment with it a little bit if you're open to it. The other thing is you can bake cream of rice like into um, like cookies and stuff, and it actually turns out really good. Like, um, so that's an option too. But yeah, sometimes making your cream of rice like a little more cakey and kind of chalked up is a good mix up. Um, you can make it really fluffy if you mix in like an egg white based protein, and it kind of cook you like as you finish cooking the cream of rice in a pot. That's the other thing. I cook my cream of rice in an actual pot instead of the microwave because I think people fuck it up in the microwave. And then the other thing is, after you cook cream of rice, take it out of the hot dish and put it in a dish that's not hot so it doesn't continue to cook. There's a lot of different ways to like really nail it, David. So I think like just experimenting with different textures and ways to cook it would make a difference for you if it's something that you want to implement. Otherwise, just don't eat it. Brett said I was the same way. I got a little burnt out on oats. Unless my meal is specific to oats, I do core. Yeah. Dave, Blue Collar Dave says, cream of rice and oats are my favorite. A few frozen berries and whey drip. He says, yeah, cream of rice and oats combined is one of my favorite blends of carbs. Definitely with frozen berries. I prefer the frozen, like Dave said, and a whey drip or just mix in your whey. And yeah, that's good shit. Good shit there. Some type of nut butter, Dylan suggests. Yeah, always good. Core and oats goes down for the. I love the combination of core and oats. I think there's, the textures. It's good. It's pleasing. It's pleasing. I have been doing whole almonds. I don't know why I'm addicted to almonds. Prep brain, I guess. Yeah, I get hooked on weird shit, Dave. Blue collar. What I've been doing, dude. One of my meals is it's actually my pre-workout meal. It's lean beef and cream of rice, and I mix them together. So it's a peanut butter flavored cream of rice, and I just throw my beef in there. It sounds weird. Like some people give me shit for it, but like if you guys have never had peanut butter on like a burger, man, missing out. Dylan, injectable super draw opinion. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's incredibly effective. Yeah. Super draw in general, whether it's oral or injectable, strong stuff. Strong stuff. Blue collar Dave, I love injectable super draw. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Dylan, spinach was so good during my cut. Now it makes me want to cry. Mel Max says, I love EQ. Yeah, EQ is good. Adam, on the super draw subject, how would you use it outside of prep setting? I don't know that I would a ton. I don't think that I did in powerlifting leading up to meets, the last 14 days. I would use oral super draw. But like in bodybuilding, yeah, I don't really fuck with it in the off season. No, not for me. I would use it in probably in prep. Yeah, blue collar just said the same thing. Honestly, I wouldn't use it outside of prep. Yeah, or recomp at the end of a bulk. Yeah, even that I would probably rather run a tiny bit of trend instead of oral super draw. I think there's better stuff. Yeah, I agree with blue collar there. Adam, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but I'm considering using EQ when I run out of Primo. What do you mean saw it earlier? Like in the chat or? Should I just switch or would you front load? No, don't front load anything ever. Or just overlap the EQ and Primo. I don't know. I don't think so hard about shit like this, Adam. Just switch them. Just switch them. EQ is not like this crazy, crazy long. People act like it takes 5 months for EQ to kick in. Like it doesn't. Like the shit works. And like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Just drop the Primo and switch to EQ. Amazon sent me 15 boxes of cream of wheat. Oh, that's not good. Ray had me do cream of rice with a kettle, and I can get it to like a brownie consistency. Yeah, I mean, it's just hot water and rice. So that's how I did it at the Olympia. I bought a portable plug-in kettle that I brought with me. That's how I cooked my cream of rice in the hotel room. So that works good. Um, yeah, cream of wheat. We used to eat that when we were kids. Brett says mix soy sauce, PB Fit powder, cook it into your ground beef. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. It's like a little Asian dish, you know. Like people are weirded out by it, but it's like peanut butter and like there's a lot of different peanuts and stuff in Asian dishes. You know what I mean? So like it actually makes sense. Um I always did grits before I got used to the cream of rice years ago. Yeah, grits are old school shit. Um, that's one the Ronnie used to eat grits. Blue collar Dave, have you done beef with Pride's taco core? I haven't, but yeah, that would be the same concept. I just use the peanut butter one. Um, but yeah, that'd be good too. Um, Adam said, "Yeah, I asked earlier. Yeah, sorry, Adam, I missed that. Yeah, just swap them, dude. Just thinking for an E2 control perspective. Yeah, it will all, your body just figures it out. It'll all balance out. I would just swap them. You might have a few weeks where, um, the estrogen dips a little lower than you want it, but it'll come right back up. And if we had to, we could always use like a tiny bit of, D-ball or something just to bring it back up quicker. Brett said no freeloaders. Peanut butter is good with beef. Yeah, my last prep, I used to. You guys, that Ninja indoor Ninja grill is like my favorite cooking appliance. I used to make a burger, and then I would literally spread peanut butter on it, and then I would put yellow mustard and hot sauce on top of the peanut butter. And it sounds absolutely wild, but it was so good. It was very good. Brett said people are grossed out by weird stuff. Yeah, or is it just because we're in prep? So like things, I don't know. Things taste different, I guess. J Money says Lando. Dylan, were you able to conceive on test, or did you need to come off completely? No, luckily I didn't have to come off completely, but I only ran like 150 milligrams of tests during my fertility protocol. But I was running FSH and HCG as well. You have to get your sperm analysis done to figure that out, Dylan. Like if you were 0, I would probably keep the test pretty low, and I would really lean into heavy FSH use. And then you get tested again 90, 120 days later and just see where the numbers are. It is a process though. So like make sure your partner knows that ahead of time, that like it could be a process to go from 0 to having a level that's, probable to conceive a child. But yeah, my numbers were just under 500,000, which is, most would consider that 0. Like most fertility doctors would basically look at that like, yeah, this is 0. My motility was 0. Morphology was 0. But mine came back pretty quick. I didn't even have to test again. And we were able to conceive before I even had to run a second test. So I'm guessing what happened for me is that my morphology and motility improved, instead of actually the total sperm number. But it only takes one, right? It literally only takes one sperm, one singular sperm. So, yeah. So yeah, technically, Dylan, I was on test, and before I started my fertility cycle, I was on a fairly heavy cycle for a fairly long time. And when I say fairly heavy, I was probably on close to a total of 2 grams for probably a year or more. And then I came off that, went right on the fertility protocol. And within, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks on the fertility protocol is when we had confirmation of a positive pregnancy test at that point. So. J Money, how old is Landon now? I have a 6-month-old nephew, and I'm excited for him to get big. We'll add EQ if his dad lets me. Landon's 15 months now. Yeah, I don't know if you guys followed John Hack on Instagram, but his information's really good. But he's got a son, and the other day he was adding creatine to he was just joking, but he was looking around for his wife and he was adding creatine to his food. It was hilarious. Dylan says, I've noticed on my pressing movements, any type of neutral grip feels like I get more activation in my chest. This is not wrong. Rather than the standard grip. I assume I should lean into those more than. Yeah, I'm the same way. And anyone would tell you, well, neutrals for triceps. I don't agree. It's all based on your structure and stuff. So yeah, Dylan, I'm the same way. I bet we have a lot of similarities in what would be required for us to properly train our chest. Because your structure is kind of similar to mine, actually. So what you and I have issues with is, we're kind of, tilted forward, like our clavicle and everything's just kind of like folded forward. So getting the chest to expand it is one thing Danny has been working on with me. So actually getting the rib cage and the sternum to lift from inside, so using the lungs to expand that chest, and then what happens is the scapula is actually posterior tilt. So if you watch me breathe into my chest, the scapula actually tilts back and exposes the chest, so you're able to target it better. I'll post my if I get time later today, I'll post my chest training from today, and you can see some of the stuff I've been doing if you watch closely. But we've been doing stuff called like hook lying, where you're kind of leaned up against a either an exercise ball or like a medicine ball. So it kind of arches you up, and then you breathe into your lungs and the chest rises. And yeah, David trained with me at the Olympia, and I was showing him some of that stuff. And yeah, I think he felt it too. And that's all credit to Danny. I can't take any credit for that. She taught me all that shit, and it's been really, really good. But you know, Danny right now is just very busy. She's trying to take on more people. She just has a lot of stuff going on right now. You know, her and Dave are moving and selling their home, and she's just very busy. So I told her I have plenty of people that I can send her way when she's ready. So yeah, that's all. Blue Magic, favorite back movements. Man, I love training back. I really love training back. I think it's one of my favorite things to train in general, Blue Magic. So this one's tough for me. I do one of them is a T-bar row, but you actually use a mag grip. I don't know if you are familiar with the mag grips, but you can actually balance like a mag grip underneath the bar. And I think I have a video on my YouTube channel doing it. And that's another one I learned from Danny, but that one's great. I like the Chris Edmonds row with a dumbbell where your front foot is forward. That one's great. Yeah, single arm pull down, you know, stuff like that. There's one where you're like kneeling on the floor and your front foot is forward, and your front foot that's forward, it's 90 degrees, and you're actually pushing up against like the knee pad that you would use as if you're sitting on the seat. And when you come down, you kind of crunch like into the oblique a little bit. Danny taught me that one. We literally call him Dr. Danny pull downs, and that one, man, the connection with that, I can get my entire lat to cramp, and really, really, really good shit. So that one's good. Just an old fashioned seated cable row. But I use like 2 separate D handles. And then when I'm coming back, I think about like opening up my chest in the back, like trying to open my chest, and that really hammers the back. Yeah, those are some of my staples right there. Just real simple stuff, but real effective. Real effective. DLC says, Dylan, I had the pleasure of doing a chest and shoulder day with Tommy in Vegas. We did the most basic stuff. Yeah, real basic shit. Real basic. And yeah, we both had a great workout. We trained with his fiance as well, and we all had a good time training. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, tiny little tweaks. That's the thing, guys. Like, just keep your training simple and effective, right? Mark Ripito, however you say his name. Back in the day, his whole like motto was simple and hard. Like, just keep things simple and make them hard, you know? And like he's so right about that. DLC, yeah, just tiny tweaks. Blew my mind. As simple as breathing into the chest. Yeah, yeah. And the way Danny describes it is like the body just being able to move fluid, and we're basically just changing the pressure of things. So, all very interesting. J Money, my gym is a small town rec center with very minimal equipment. As much as I miss sick machines, the basics always work best. Yeah, Jay, I train in a basement, dude. I literally train in a basement. Blue Magic, do you lean more towards free weights or machine work? Both are great, dude. Both are great. I don't think you should rely on one more than the other. You know what I mean? Like, I think they both have an importance. Um, I also think some people rely too heavily on machines. But don't get me wrong, machines are wonderful. Someone designed them literally to target the exact thing we're trying to hit, and you know, someone much smarter than us designed these machines to do that effectively. It'd be like, should I fucking ride my bike to work or should I drive my car, right? um it's kind of a odd comparison, but you can kind of see where I'm coming from with that, right? So yeah, I do a little bit of both, dude. Really, it if I looked at my program right now, it'd probably be almost 50-50, maybe 60-40, with machines being a little heavier just from my personal bias. And that's just from me selecting the movements. But if because sometimes Danny just like will put something like your favorite incline movement, and like instead of an incline barbell, I'll probably do a machine personally, right? Dylan, I noticed trying to load through my lats and let my back actually roll and let my back actually roll back when I'm doing chest has allowed me to open up more. Yeah. I think I'm 100% machines right now. Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I can't say you're wrong for doing that. I can't say that's wrong. You know, that's not fair of me. Um, but I do think you could be missing some things. Um, I just think there's some benefit to free weight. Certain movements just feel better with a free weight or a cable versus um, a machine that's on a fixed line, for example, right? Um, J Money, any tips for keeping tension on the quads and not fatiguing joints on the leg press squat patterns? Yeah, that one's tough, Jay. That's something Danny and I have been working on with myself a lot. And a lot of it's just based off your structure and things like that. But some of the things that I do for me personally is like almost trying to keep like an active leg extension feeling the entire time. So I literally feel like I'm pushing my feet towards the front of my shoes the entire time, almost like I'm trying to keep a leg extension. And then, like, let's say for a leg press, I'm thinking about actively like pulling the sled towards me instead of just letting it fall. And then the other thing I think about is like a controlled concentric instead of like explosive. It's more of a controlled um, concentric, if that makes sense. And I think about like pushing through mud is the best way to describe it. And at the top, you know, I'm keeping that leg extended like the entire time. I'm just thinking about keeping my leg tension just on the whole time. Um, One thing I often think about is like visual, like John Meadows, watching him train like a leg extension. If you guys ever watch John like train his legs, you can just see like you can literally see the connection between what he's doing and the muscle working. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Um, but yeah, just really trying to be cognitive of it. Um, Blue Magic, what are the foods you crave the most during prep? Honestly, just more of the shit that I'm already eating. Um, I was talking earlier, like sourdough bread with like butter on it is what I'm craving today. Um, Sourdough bread with like jelly butter, that sounds good to me. Um, like I could eat just an endless bowl of cream of rice with peanut butter on it right now. Like that sounds good. Um, but yeah, just basically the shit I'm already eating, just more of it. Um, I haven't really craved any junk, honestly. I think the Retta might help with that a little bit. But I've kind of been that way for a few years now, where um, I think it's part of the maturation process of just constantly eating the same types of foods for so long that like I don't know, I don't have a huge craving for bad foods anymore, I guess. Um, I can do like some homemade cookies and shit like that, like with gluten-free whatever. You can use oats and cream of rice. And if you're in the Chase Irons forum, I'm starting to post some recipes and stuff there that I use for like my cheat meals. Um, Dylan said, "Yeah, I use a lot of cables. Yeah, I think cables are closer to a free weight than like a fixed machine, because then your body can kind of move the way it wants to, and it's not so fixed in one thing. I was counting that as a machine in my head. Yeah, I guess it kind of is, but I think it's closer to a free weight than a fixed driven line, right?" J Money said, "We'll try all of this today. Thanks, Tommy. I love the pushing through mud cue. Yeah, that one's really good." Blue Magic, what are your tips to reduce cortisol stress? Thanks, man. Super helpful. Honestly, sleep is going to be really important, but practicing mindfulness is um, something that's really helped me this year. Um, and just overall being more grateful for things. Um, and just having a mindset shift of you know gratitude, being more grateful for what I have, what I'm able to do, um, having my health, my family's health, my bills are paid, everything's good, right? So that has helped a lot with my stress levels. Just not allowing myself to get heightened about things as much as I used to. Really trying to catch that before it escalates, right? So if there's something that makes you upset, or um, you catch someone cuts you off in traffic, and instead of like, oh motherfucker, like instead of like letting myself get heightened about that, I'm just like, oh, whatever, I'm just moseying along. It's just um, I really just trying to stay as calm as possible about shit has changed my life this year. I learned a lot of that from AJ, and just maturing as a person, as a man, as a father, and stuff like that. Um, there's one client that I have, not just one, there's several clients that I have that are just so fucking chill about everything. And the one that comes to mind right away is Diesel Dave. And I've learned a lot from him, and he doesn't know that. And maybe he'll watch this and learn that. But um, he's so chill about everything. He's so grateful for everything, and it's helped me develop that. And the other thing is, I just watch him grow and get better. And I watch him get better and I watch him get better. And it has to be a huge factor. You know, it has to be a huge factor because it's so much of a factor that I can literally call him out by person and be like, man, what he's doing has a direct result to his progress. There's direct correlation because that's one of the most special things about him as an athlete is his ability just to be like so fucking chill, so grateful, and just kind, and doesn't get worked up about anything. And really, I'm learning a lot from him about how to be more that way. So yeah, so those are like lifestyle things and habits you can change. Um, as far as other things, reducing cortisol and stress. One, I mean, is your actual blood serum cortisol high, or are you just thinking it's high because you feel stressed? So that's not always the same thing, but um, managing your training and um, not driving yourself into the ground, not working yourself to death with your actual job and career, um, managing relationships and being present in those relationships, and um, you know just overall all those big ticket items are really important. I think those help a lot. Brett said, who are we talking about? Sorry, I just got back. We were talking about Diesel Dave and just his ability to stay chill about shit. And I think it's a huge factor and why he makes progress like he does. Besides, he's a robot and he just does literally everything I say without question. Just nails everything every day, every fucking day. Literally, he doesn't miss a thing. Blue Magic, do you ever train in a fasted state? I don't personally. If I wasn't a competitive bodybuilder, then I wouldn't be opposed to it. I have a lot of guys that I'm okay that if they train fasted, guys and girls, if they're more in for the lifestyle and looking good, feeling good, I think training fasted can be okay. I prefer to be fed when I train. But like my coach AJ, he a lot of the times he'll train fasted, um, and he looks amazing, and he trains hard. Um, so yeah, I'm not completely opposed to it. Um, for most of my clients, I do try to convince them to get a small meal in, something like a small cream of rice, maybe a protein powder mixed together, a little bit of fat in there, like a nut butter or something, maybe some coconut oil, just to stabilize the blood glucose and help them sustain energy throughout the workout. It digests really easy. It doesn't sit in the gut. You can probably train 30, 40 minutes right after eating that. Um, that's normally what I try to recommend to people when they say I just can't eat in the morning. It's like, well, let's try this real small thing just to have some fuel and hydration, cellular hydration there. Get a little sodium in that meal, get a morning drink going, things like that. Blue Magic says, great content. I just subbed, by the way. Your channel showed up on my algorithm. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. I do these live streams every Friday. Um, I'm trying to get more content out there. I've been very busy with different stuff, especially with, my contest prep and things. So that's where a lot of my time is going, you know. So I will try to make some more videos and stuff soon. I'm thinking about hiring someone to do some of this stuff for me. Um, so maybe I just have to film content and they can put it together and put it out there for me. So that's probably the next step in the next few months here. Once I'm done competing for the year, um, I'll look into that. You probably have a video on this, but what got you into bodybuilding? Really, it just started as, being a young, insecure kid that didn't like the way I looked and felt. I always looked different than the other kids. The other kids were, in sports and stuff. I wasn't really interested in sports. Um, I was felt like kind of the fat kid, and um, you know, before I go to bed, I was 12, 13 years old, maybe even younger. I would just start doing crunches in bed. Like that was my extent of the knowledge. And all right, I'm gonna do 100 crunches before I fall asleep. And then I would start doing, okay, I'm gonna do 100 push-ups before I go to bed tonight. And then eventually, my brother and I started training in the garage. My brother's a bit older than me. And then we started doing P90X together, and then I graduated to the gym. And, from there, it's just always been a part of my life. Brett says, I'd actually be interested in helping with that if you ever need it, Tommy. Oh, thanks, Brett. Yeah, yeah, you're a person that I will reach out to about that. I appreciate it. Lifted, welcome. How long have you been training? 12, 13 years old. I'll be 34 this year, so almost 22 years. And the first year or two was just like I said, silly stuff, like training in my parents' bedroom with a pair of dumbbells and treadmill, stuff like that. And then, should like P90X, and yeah, that's where it all started for me. And um yeah, my dad worked for a magazine printing company for years. So he would bring me muscle and fitness magazines, and that's where I started getting exposed to, shit like that. Um, so that kind of um, sparked a lot of interest for me as well. Blue collar Dave, dang, I'm older than Tommy. Yeah, yeah, I'm an old soul, Dave. So most people think I'm older than I am. A Condor, welcome. What do you think of running for cardio? Does it kill gains for bodybuilders? Man, I if you're healthy enough to run, then by all means go for it. Like if your joints and ankles and stuff like feel okay running. And when you say bodybuilders, is the bodybuilder 270, 280 in the off season, or is it a bodybuilder that's maybe 215 in the off season, right? I think that plays a role. I much prefer something more low impact for cardio, for my competitive bodybuilders, but it depends. I mean, if they've run their entire life and they're quite accustomed to it and good at it, because running requires a technique which I couldn't explain because I've never been good at running, nor have I ever cared to become good at it. So, yeah, if it's something you're already accustomed to, something you already do, no, I don't think it's going to kill gains. Absolutely not. I think it can be worked in. You know, Blue collar Dave. I'm 36. The end of the month. What's your birthday, Dave? I'll be 34 November 9th. So a couple weeks. Condor, what's your current workout split? I train 5 days a week. It's pretty much push pull legs, rest, and then like a another push day, like an upper body pump day, and then posterior chain day. So like I do a little bit of hamstrings, extra back work, things like that. October 30th. I'll have to remember that, Dave. I'm going to message you. 5 years sober that day. Man, 5 years. Congratulations. I will be 13 years sober in June. Yeah, in June. Lifted. How long are your workouts usually? Man, like just like my warm-ups are normally quite short, depending on how I feel going into the gym. I just do a little bit of activation stuff, just get the body kind of warm, things like that. The actual training session itself, um, probably just over an hour, depending on which day it is. Some of the days are quicker than the other ones. Um, but yeah, I think anywhere from an hour to like an hour 35 is pretty common for a lot of bodybuilders, in my experience. I think after that hour and a half mark, I don't know that much good happens after that, you know. Um, I think you can get a lot done really, really in a good quality hour. You know, you're staying off your cell phone, you're moving through, you're getting quality sets done, and just maximizing your time in the gym. Um, Anything that I'm doing, I think it's important to be completely present in that pursuit of the activity, right? So when I'm in the gym, nothing else exists. And my focus is what I'm there to do and accomplish. Um, the social media is off. Text messages very, very rarely, unless it's my wife and she needs something and it's important. I will leave my phone on just because I do have a young son, and God forbid, an emergency came up. I need to know that, right? But I stay off my phone. I stay just focused, and man, that's my time. That's what I love to do, and I make the most of it, right? Um, and I really cherish that time. DLC says, "Congrats to both of you." Thank you, David. Um, Endorphin, I like that. Would you consider yourself more of a volume trainer or a high intensity? I think a combination of both is important. I would never die on any hill, and I would never lock myself into one specific methodology, um, because I think things work in phases, and I don't think the same thing is going to work forever. Um, so I think it's important to explore lots of different avenues so you have more tools in your toolbox, because when you're going to run into a point where you hit some sort of plateau, or you're having trouble growing a certain muscle, and that may require more volume, or maybe it requires more intensity or more frequency. And so I will never put myself in one box in a world like this, where there's so many pathways and so many different methodologies and tools that we can use to make progress, right? So um, I'll never lock myself into one. This is what I do, this is who I am. No, I'll never do that. I think it's silly. I think you can learn. The answer is always in the middle, right? With everything, with the food, everything. The answer is somewhere in the middle. Um, do you think it's possible to make gains on a caloric deficit or maintenance? Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, I really do. Here's why. Here's why. Um, Here's the main reason I think why it happens. I think sometimes food is so high that inflammation is present, I think insulin sensitivity is getting worse. I think, nutrient partitioning is getting less favorable. I think you can just feel sluggish and your training is worse because food is so high, inflammation's high, things like that. And sometimes I think getting in a caloric deficit makes the body function better. It's more efficient, right? It'd be like, let's say you're traveling out of town and you have a ton of shit you're bringing with you. You're towing a trailer, it's full of your stuff. And what's your miles per gallon like? Right? What's the wear and tear on the car like when you're pulling that trailer full of all your shit? And okay, what if you took that trailer off the car? Man, that miles per gallon is going to become more favorable. You're going to get further using less gas, less wear and tear on the car. It's going to be easier to stop that car when you need to stop that car. All of these things, I think the body just functions better, to a point, especially the first 10, 12, 14, 16 weeks of a dieting phase. I always make some of the best progress of my life when I first start what people would call a caloric deficit, or even maintenance. Um, the body functions really well when it's not bogged down with copious amounts of food, right? Amy says, I'm doing it now. Yeah, Amy is literally getting stronger in the gym. She's literally gaining muscle and she's eating fuck all for calories. Her calories are quite low. And her weight isn't just like dive bombing, it's holding and it scares her. But now she's realizing, like, my body's just fucking functioning the way it should. And we're taking advantage of these nutrients. And, her workouts are still going good. And she's not dragging her feet through the grocery store quite yet. And um, too much of anything isn't good, right? And so the way I like to do it, and this is one thing that I learned, from some of my mentors, AJ Sims, Skip Hill, is you dig, you push, and then you pull back a little. You feed the athlete, you feed yourself, you give yourself some food, you refuel, you reconcentrate, you push, you dig, and you back off. And you dig again, and you back off. And there's this dance where you don't just run the body into the ground. And that is how a successful contest prep, for example, should go. And I've had a lot of clients where they'll ask me, Tommy, are we going to be ready? I feel like I should be suffering. Why? Why do you want to suffer? You want your training to be good. And that's one thing John Meadows always focused on was, I'd rather have people feel good in the gym because that's where they're going to hold muscle tissue. That's where they're going to get better, is when their training is better and everything's firing. And like, if you have someone so low from the beginning on calories, their training goes to shit. And then what? And then they just hate training for the rest of their contest prep. And man, I don't want to see people's training really fall off at all if possible. But your leverages change when you start losing weight and glycogen starts depleting and things like that. And the joints start feeling a little dry and achy, and training performance will fall. But being able to sustain it for as long as possible is going to drive the best fat loss. It's going to drive the best look. You're going to hold the most muscle tissue. And yeah, sometimes that means the scale isn't just going to fall and drop right away like people want it to. But that doesn't matter in physique sports. All that matters is the one that looks the best on stage. That's who wins. Condor says, thanks. I completely agree. People in bodybuilding preach force feeding, which doesn't seem healthy. It's not. It's not healthy. But bodybuilding in general, it can be healthy. A lot of the stuff isn't. But yeah, I think you need to eat to grow. But I think there comes a point where the body does become bogged down and the systems just aren't operating as well. Once you start getting into unfavorable body fat percentages and inflammation's high and you just feel like shit all the time, that's not productive. That's not productive. And bodybuilding is not about feeling like shit all the time. It shouldn't be that way. Blue Collar Dave, I've seen it a million times. Not huge gains in the deficit, but the body almost recognizes and needs to be more efficient, recognizes a higher energy output. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's like your body's like, okay, well, this is all I get. So I'm going to make the most of it. And it does. You can see it in your digestive system. People will be like, well, I went to the bathroom, but like not a lot came out. It's like, well, yeah, not a lot went in. And that just means your body used it, right? There was less waste, right? That's part of the reason they call it that. We use those nutrients and we fueled the body with them. And yeah, a lot of the times people are probably eating more than they need to sometimes. And then sometimes they're not. I never like to give like an absolute, like, yeah, this is it. So yeah, all good things to keep in mind. We went 3 hours here and I'm due for my next meal. So thank you everyone that joined. This was fun for me. Kept me occupied until my next meal, which I always appreciate. And I'm going to sign out here. And I hope everyone has a good weekend. All of you can reach out to me at TommyJohnCoaching.com. Tommy John Coaching on Instagram. I'm in the ChaseIronsForum.com. I'm a moderator and the lead coach over there. You can find Chase Iron's new channel on Rumble. We have been kicked off YouTube. So find Chase over at Rumble. Please follow him there, where we can talk about really whatever we want nowadays. I have a small following, so I can still talk shit, and YouTube doesn't care because they don't care about me. So yeah, you can find us over there. You can find anything I'm associated with in my Instagram profile. I have links to discount codes and stuff like that for anything you might be looking for. And until next time, everyone be well, be good, and keep doing everything you enjoy. See you guys.